guys, welcome back to Nature's Cadence Farm. We are on location here at Granny's house today, and we're having a problem with our John Deere 325. We've got a no start issue. Everything was running fine last year, and this year when I tried to start it up and get things going, it turned over for maybe a few seconds and then it just stopped. It wasn't like the battery died. It wasn't like the voltage was low on the battery or anything like that. It just quit. So let's troubleshoot and find out what the problem is. Let me show you right now what it's doing. So with the parking brake on, you have to have the parking brake on, and the hydrostatic in neutral, you just turn the key here. Choke's on, throttle's up. I don't know if you can hear that, but we're just getting some clicking, so not sure what that means. So let's get in here and find out. Alright, a couple of pieces of essential test equipment we're going to need is a battery load tester and a voltmeter. So first thing we're going to do is just check the battery, just in case maybe the battery's dead. I don't know. I don't think it is, but we might as well. So first thing you do is clamp the positive lead onto the positive terminal of the battery, and then we've got our negative lead we're going to put over here on the negative lead. And then this is how these testers work. You've got it hooked up, and then you can read a voltage. Let's see if I can get you in here a little bit. So you hook the positive lead up and the negative lead up, and then you can see on the meter here we've got a voltage of 13 volts or so. So we're going to hit the test button, and that puts a load on it with the resistor that's up here inside of this box. You hold it for 10 seconds and then read the voltage. I don't know, that's about 10 seconds. We're at 13 volts and 400 cranking amps. That should be enough to start a mower. So battery's good. Next thing we've got here is our voltmeter. We're going to put it on the setting where it says V and the straight line right there. This is what's called a starter solenoid right here. This takes a signal from the ignition key, this little small wire, and connects the battery power, which is this big cable, to this other big cable right down here. That goes to the actual starter, which this solenoid is mounted to. So what we're going to do now is check for a signal from the switch, the ignition switch on the actual tractor here, and see if it turns on. So I've got the positive lead of the voltmeter hooked to the signal wire from the ignition switch, and I've got the negative lead here on the negative terminal of the battery. Just a good place to check from. So let's hit the key and see what happens. Alright, what do we have there? About 10 volts. Okay. Well, I guess that's okay. It's enough to make the solenoid click. So next thing we're going to do is just check to make sure we're getting voltage down to this solenoid right here on this line, and then this line with the key turned on. I'm just going to use this jumper to help hold the ground wire for the meter, the negative lead of the meter on the battery itself. Okay, got that on there. So now I've got my positive lead and I'm looking right here on this terminal. We got 12.5 volts right there. Alright, so now here's the other side of the solenoid, and we don't have anything. And I'm turning the key on and off, and I'm not getting any voltage across the solenoid. I'm going to say the solenoid is bad. So let's see if we can get a new one and get it in and see if that fixes it. First thing we're going to do is disconnect the battery, and that is right here. We can do a couple of different things. What I like to do is go ahead and disconnect the negative side first, most of the time, but in this case the positive terminal right here is really easy to get to, so let's go ahead and pop that off first. You just want to make sure you don't short anything out from the positive lead to the negative lead, or to the metal, anything metal that's inside of the tractor itself. Sometimes these can be real tricky, but let's give it a shot. Oh, that came right off. Good. Oh, that's wonderful. Alright, so that's off. Now we're going to go down here to the actual solenoid, since we narrowed down that's where the problem is. So we've got this lead disconnected. Now we're going to take this off, and this happens to be a 7/16 wrench there. So this is a quick connect right here, just a little spade. We just pull that right off. No big deal. So take the nut off for that. And this has two wires. Looks like one of them is from the battery and the other one connects here to send voltage to the rest of the controls, like the ignition switch and everything else. So we need to make sure we get that back on there. 7/16 again. We'll go ahead and take off this side to the starter. Alright, that looks good. I'm going to go ahead and put these nuts back on here, just so I don't lose them in the gravel or somewhere else. Alright, looks like there's a band clamp, a hose clamp holding on this solenoid to the starter. So let's see if we can get that off. Oh yeah, see if we can get that off of there. Now it appears the way this solenoid is grounded, all it is a electromagnetic coil with a set of contacts inside of it. And I believe the way this, I know the way this coil grounds itself is through the back side of the solenoid. Go ahead and pull that on out of there. So you can see this is metal back here. This touches the starter, and the positive lead touches right here. So when you add voltage to this, it closes this relay solenoid and connects these two. So it's like a big light switch. It just goes on and off as you put voltage to this terminal right here. We got my new solenoid here. It came with an extra lead to go to the starter, which I don't see anything wrong with the old one, but I'll try the old one and see if it's good. So all we're going to do is just fish this right back through here, just the way it came off, and then the hose clamp goes around the back side of the starter, just like that. And to start it, you just hold it kind of in place and then start the little worm gear. Now the way it came off, this metal strip right here was underneath of the solenoid, so I'm gonna go back like that. I guess that's correct. It was working before like that, we'll put it like that. So alright, so I've got everything lined up, tightening it all down. I'll go ahead and make sure that's good and tight. And let's see here. Just one wire went on this side of it. And then over here, 2 wires went on, so don't forget that second wire. You want these terminals tight, but not too tight to where it's just copper. You know, the little stud is just copper. You can strip them. So all that's tight. We're going to plug our signal wire in from our ignition switch. Check to make sure that's tight. Everything looks good. So we've got our battery cable here. These battery terminals look nice and clean, and this looks pretty good inside of there, so let's go ahead and put this back on. Again, being careful not to short out the wrench and the frame of the tractor or the negative terminal. Tighten that down, not too much, but enough to hold it steady. Alright, well here we go. Let me back the camera up. Let's give it a shot. Well, that seemed to be the problem. It's turning over. It's probably going to take a little coaxing because it hasn't been started in quite a while. So let's give it a shot. Well, that went really well. I'm glad that was the problem, and it was a fairly inexpensive fix. I'll try to get the part number. Now, I do know this is not the original engine in this mower. My dad changed it out after the original one failed. They found it somewhere, but either way, thanks for watching, guys. We really do appreciate it. If you got any questions, leave a comment below. I would, love to get a chance to give you a hand with something. So yeah, we'll see you next time.